Had to play that Meek Mill, man. That's a great intro song. Meek Mill got some of the best intro songs in rapping history. Like I love Meek Mill's intro songs. But let's talk some football and let's talk about the statistics in this game. For the 49ers, Josh Johnson replacing Brock Purdy. He went 7 of 13. He threw for 74 rush or passing yards. Purdy in short action, 4 for 4, 23 passing yards. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 15 of 25. He threw for 121 passing yards in this game. So my initial reaction as I watched the NFC Championship game, the thought that came to my mind was sadness. Because coming into this game, I thought that the NFC Championship game was going to be a classic. I look at the 49ers and the Eagles. I believe they are both evenly matched football teams. I mean, the receivers in this game, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle for the 49ers. For the Eagles, you got A.J. Brown. You got Devontae Smith. You got Darius Goddard, the tight end. And the 49ers at running back, they got Christian McCaffrey. And the Eagles, they got running back by committee, Sanders, Scott. We got Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, Nick Sirianni versus Kyle Shanahan. We know how great Sirianni has been his first season as head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. I was excited for the NFC Championship game coming into the game because I thought it was going to be a classic. I thought it was going to be an evenly matched football game. And it was hard for me to pick when I did my prediction for this game. I picked the Eagles to beat the 49ers, but it wouldn't have surprised me if the 49ers had beaten the Eagles Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. And seeing what happened in the first quarter of the NFC Championship game to Brock Purdy, I was sad because as I watched the game, I'm looking at the 49ers players on the sideline. I'm looking at George Kittle. I'm looking at Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, McCaffrey, and even the defense. I'm looking at them, and I just looked at their body language, and it's like they were just thinking as the NFC Championship game was being played, they were thinking like, damn, we got this far, and quarterback has been an issue for the 49ers all season long because of injuries. In week 2, they lost Tre Lance to a season-ending injury. They lost Jimmy Garoppolo as well earlier in the season. And then you see Brock Purdy in the first quarter on a hit from Hassan Reddick for the Philadelphia Eagles. You see Brock Purdy go down with the elbow injury, and you could tell ASAP that, man, there's something serious going on here because they brought in Josh Johnson, and this is the NFC Championship game. Josh Johnson hasn't taken a snap all season long. And we know how good Brock Purdy has been since he's taken over as the quarterback for the 49ers. He gave them the best chance to win the NFC Championship game, considering the circumstances, and had already lost Tre Lance and Jimmy G. And to see Brock Purdy go down in the first quarter, I was sad for the 49ers, and I was sad as a fan because I want to see mano a mano, me versus you in the NFC Championship game for the rights to go to Arizona and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I want both teams to be 100% healthy. And once Brock Purdy went down with the elbow injury, the 49ers were at a significant disadvantage in this game. And I thought the rest of the game, the 49ers, they didn't play with intensity. They didn't have the energy anymore. Again, it's like the entire energy on the 49ers sideline. Once Purdy got injured, it was gone. It was gone. And Kyle Shanahan, he has to be thinking as a head coach, here we go again. And before Tom Brady announced his retirement yesterday, I was thinking after the NFC Championship game, Sunday night and early Monday morning, I was thinking Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they got to get on the phone with Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. They got to do that because they have a complete football team. This team has Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Defensively, they're loaded. They got Fred Warner. They got Nick Bosa up front. They got Arik Armstead. In the secondary, they got Hufanga. They got Tre'Davious Ward. The 49ers are one of the more complete football teams in the NFL. The only thing that the 49ers are missing is a reliable, good quarterback. He doesn't even have to be great. They just need a good quarterback. So I was thinking, like, man, they have to take a swing, a big swing this offseason and try to acquire a veteran quarterback, the likes of a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers. Again, this was prior to Tom Brady announcing his retirement. So I was just sad for the 49ers overall. And now there are reports that Brock Purdy is going to be a minimum of 6 months that he's going to be out. And you don't know if Trey Lance, how effective he's going to be once he returns back to the field next season. And the 49ers, I look at their window. They are a physical football team. George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, they don't run around you. They run through you. I've said this before, and I'm saying it again. They are the most physical football team in the NFL. I don't think that their shelf life is going to be something they can depend on for the next 5 or 6 years. I think the 49ers have maybe the next 2 years to contend for a Super Bowl, because at some point you got to think that George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey has been injury prone in his career. You got to think that at some point these players are going to break down. So their Super Bowl window is now, right now. And I would think about seriously considering trying to get my hands on Derek Carr. Aaron Rodgers is their best option at this point now, but the Packers already said they're not trading Aaron Rodgers in the NFC. So if I'm the 49ers, I'm seriously considering trading for Derek Carr. You have to have some stability at the quarterback position. Kyle Shanahan already said they're not going to bring back Jimmy G, but that's my thoughts on the 49ers. Now, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, they are a great football team. And I thought Jalen Hurts, he didn't play a great game, but he did just enough for the Eagles to win this game. Jalen Hurts, 15 of 25, 121 passing yards, 72.2 passer rating, 39 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. You could tell that he's still trying to recover from that shoulder injury. He's not all the way 100% yet, but Jalen Hurts is the leader of this Philadelphia Eagles football team, and the way that Jalen Hurts has elevated his game, you can make a legitimate argument for if Aaron Rodgers is traded this offseason, you can make an argument for Jalen Hurts being the best quarterback in the NFC. Seriously. The Philadelphia Eagles would not be where they currently are if they didn't have Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts and his development from last year to this year is something that I can't say enough about. Like last year, he led the Eagles to the playoffs, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, over 3,000 passing yards. But they didn't have any expectations last year in the playoffs. They didn't have no expectations. They played the Buccaneers on Wild Card Weekend. They got blew out. They had very, very little expectations last year. This year, with expectations, Jalen Hurts, he led the Philadelphia Eagles to the number 1 seed in the NFC with a 14-3 record, and they completely dismantled the Giants and the 49ers. Completely dismantled. I remember coming into the playoffs, I was saying, I'm not sure if this Eagles team is going to be able to restart that engine to get to the Super Bowl, considering teams like the Giants and the 49ers, they had so much momentum going into the playoffs. I wasn't sure if the Eagles could restart that engine, and they've been able to do that in these 2 home wins in the playoffs. And this year, Jalen Hurts as a starter, this was before the NFC Championship. the Eagles under Jalen Hurts, 15-1. They averaged 29 points per game, 392 total yards per game, 164 total rushing yards per game, 34 rushing touchdowns. So under Jalen Hurts, this team is complete. But they also can run the football with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. The Eagles, they became the first team in NFL history to have 3 players with 2 rushing touchdowns in a single postseason. Jalen Hurts has 2 rushing touchdowns. Miles Sanders has 2 rushing touchdowns. And Boston Scott has 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And on the outside, they got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And I think that's one of the best receiver tandems that we have in the NFL. I look at them at the same way I view Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and the same way I view Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are big time. In this game, Devontae Smith only had 2 receptions for 36 receiving yards. A.J. Brown 4 for 28 receiving yards. But the game was a blowout because of the 49ers' inconsistencies at quarterback. So they didn't have to do very much. I will say this, too, when it comes to the game overall. I thought on the opening possession for the Eagles, that 4th down conversion by the Eagles, that catch by Devontae Smith wasn't a catch. That was a drop. That was an incomplete pass on that opening possession for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I thought Kyle Shanahan dropped the ball by not challenging that play. I thought he dropped the ball there. I really thought he should have challenged that play. But you're in Philadelphia. Kevin Hart in the house. Joel Embiid is in the house. Gilly the Kid and Wallow, they in the house. So you in Philly at Lincoln Financial Field. The crowd's going crazy. They're not going to put the replay up in the stadium there. They're not going to put the replay up. You're not going to get a good angle. But I thought Kyle Shanahan not being able to see and not challenging that play obviously completely changed this game. Eagles go on to score a touchdown, and game was over at that point. The game was over. I know McCaffrey had a great touchdown run that tied the game up, but the game was over once Brock Purdy got injured and once the 49ers decided not to challenge on that particular play. But this Eagles football team is complete. We know defensively they got one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they always get after the quarterback. I mean, you look at what this Eagles team have defensively. You got Fletcher Cox up front. You got Brandon Graham as well. You got Sweat at linebacker. You got White at linebacker. In the secondary, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You got Darius Big Play Slay. So this Eagles football team, top to bottom, arguably is the most complete team in the NFL, right alongside the 49ers. That's why I was so excited for the NFC Championship game. But with the injury to Brock Purdy, and even Josh Johnson got injured in the game for the 49ers. With the injuries to their quarterbacks, the game wasn't going to be competitive. I mean, at one point, the 49ers, they had Christian McCaffrey take a snap at quarterback. That tells you everything you need to know about the NFC Championship game. But the Eagles, they were the best team throughout the entire season for the first 12 or 13 weeks before Jalen Hurts' injury. And so far, they've been the best team in the postseason. And they're in the Super Bowl, and they have their first opportunity to win another Super Bowl since 2018. And they're the favorites heading into the Super Bowl next Sunday in Arizona. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. I'll be right back.